I don't have to be married for my husband to be healed, and I don't have to be married for my heart to be healed. And those are hard realities to say, but they're true.
Jesus is my rock, and that's how I roll. Welcome to another episode of California Preaching, Honestly Speaking. And today I have my friend Joanna Rozier. I hope I pronounced that right. Did I?
Yes, you did.
Yay! Today we're talking about betrayal, and that's not easy.
It isn't easy, but what I have found is that the more I say it, the less power it has over me. And it loses whatever that thing is. And so when you asked me to do it, I thought like, oh yeah, no, it's like my least favorite topic and also my best topic. So it's something that I know a lot about, and I wouldn't pretend to know everything about it. And I don't think that I'm out of it. I'm kind of like, mucking around in the middle. But I don't want it to have any power over me. So the more I get to talk about it and the more that I can talk about my journey with the Lord through it, man, like I just hope it has purpose. And this is hopefully like another step on that journey for it. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And there are so many different layers to betrayal. There's so many different layers to it. I mean, there's the initial betrayal, and then there's the grief and devastation, and there's the shock, and then the grief, and then the devastation. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but this is just what I know.
Yeah.
That lots of people can experience shock, grief, devastation, feelings of hopelessness, feeling like your life is never going to be the same again. And then you've got that scarlet letter thing, like, oh, when people find out, everyone's going to, I'm going to stand out and people are going to talk about me and I'm going to be the talk of the town. And, and then there's, of course, the way your children perceive you after, and how do they perceive mom and dad now? And it's a whole different, it's like changes the dynamics in the family. So I know that was very loaded right there, but let's just start with how, for you, if you don't mind walking us through it, how did it happen for you? The betrayal.
So, my husband had an affair, and it came out of nowhere. And I feel like people say that, and they've said that to me, and in the back of my head, I've thought, oh, but you had to have known something. And really, no, like there really wasn't anything. Like I know so much more about it now. I wish I could go back and counsel my other self to be a little bit more compassionate and understanding, and without a little bit of like, oh, but maybe kind of thing. Because I know it so intimately now on a way that I didn't want to. So there's like this whole word, like when they confess to you, it's like this big day. And on that day, I knew that everything was going to change. Like on the way to meet my husband, I had about 5 minutes, and I just said to the Lord, this is the last 5 minutes that my life is going to be like this. And so I want to enjoy it with you. And so I had 5 minutes driving to my house. And as soon as I got there, my world changed. And what happened after my husband was working at a church and in public ministry. And so I knew it was going to be public. So I told my kids, we have 3 days to have private pain, and then it's going to be public pain. And so we kind of just hunkered down and got together and decided that we were going to do all of this together, and we were going to walk through it together, and we were going to seek the best way forward that we could, and that the Lord was going to be the center of it all. And I made it very clear, like we had family meetings, and I said, this is what we're going to do. You're going to each find a scripture every day that for whatever reason, if it doesn't speak to you, it doesn't matter. We're still going to cling to it. We're still going to feed our minds with truth, and we're going to walk through this one day at a time, and we're going to walk through it together. My last thing that I'd written before Disclosure Day was all about covenants, and how the Lord is the one who makes the covenants that last, and how and one of the first things that he taught me, I had this after Disclosure Day, and you're just like broken and in pieces, and like I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't make food. I had people at my house constantly because I couldn't do anything. I had a friend send me meals, send me groceries for 2 months. And so I didn't have to even go to the grocery store. I was never alone on a weekend for 3 months. And I had friends come in from out of town and bring their husbands who were fixing the house, doing things, putting like just making my life right and working, and they would make meals for my whole week for me so that we could be eating through I mean, it was insane how God provided. But in those first few days, he sent me this Isaiah 54, and I went through it, and he just said it to my heart in such a way. And he reminded me that he is the one who makes the covenant and that he doesn't break covenants. My husband forgot his covenant, but the covenant remains. And so when you ask, I guess maybe that's more to your question. Like, did I ever think about walking away and like, here we go, here's my golden ticket? Like, wasn't ever looking to get out, but I also understand about the Lord that he is the one who makes that covenant. Like, we even counseled so many people in marriage counseling, and I believe it, that like you get married on a day, but what you've done is you have a covenant between you and the Lord. So I have a covenant between me and the Lord, and my husband has a covenant between me and the Lord, and he has made a covenant with us. So my husband might have for a season forgotten that covenant, but the Lord did not. And I still have a covenant of my own to keep with him. And he has given, I don't want to say like this is not everybody's journey. Like if you are in an abusive marriage, if you are emotionally abused, if there's infidelity and your husband is not repentant and does not want to fix things or whatever, there are so many reasons that the Lord gave us the golden ticket to walk out, right? There's so many reasons for that. But in my case, I really just felt strongly that this is a covenant that I've made to the Lord. Until my dying day, I want to be able to stand before that white throne and say, I believe in your covenants. I believe in what you did, and I believe in the promise that I made to you. And I want to stand before you and be able to say and hear him say, well done.
For somebody who has literally just received information that, there was infidelity in their marriage, and, just like the most egregious type of infidelity, and not that there's grades, but, what would you tell them? I mean, you just finished saying that you had friends come over, but a lot of people, that's not their first instinct. Like, they want to isolate. I mean, didn't you want to kind of isolate? I can't imagine.
I don't have those kinds of friends that allow me that.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say get friends that don't allow you that. I do know that my situation was very different. I have some amazing friends, and what I found is that I discovered the church, and it wasn't the church that I was attending. It was the church that God had brought into my life, the people around who were my people. And you don't need a whole church of people trying to bless you and work on things. You don't need all of that. What you need are the people that God is going to bring into your life. So if somebody wanders into your life in that season, it's not an accident, I would say.
Right.
Lean into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Lord is near to you, and he is orchestrating your
Mm-hmm.
path to wellness and to healing.
Mm-hmm.
And if this has just happened to you, like I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know that not everybody has friends who are going to come over and spend 2 weeks at your house because they can and help you get your laundry done and make dinner for your kids. And that's not the reality. But the reality is that we all cry on the floor of our closets and want to be seen. And I want you to know that the God who sees does see you, and he does hear you. And if you are willing to get on a path that leads to forgiveness, and it may not lead to reconciliation. I kept saying to myself, to the Lord, and just saying to him, I don't have to be married to keep my covenant to you. I don't have to be married for my husband to be healed. And I don't have to be married for my heart to be healed. And those are hard realities to say, but they're true.
I feel like when there's betrayal, wouldn't it be a situation where you would maybe internalize some of that behavior and think, well, I'm not good enough, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
not, attractive enough.
Yeah.
I've,
Yep.
I did, where did I go wrong? I've done something wrong. And so I would think that those voices would really creep up. How did you navigate those voices?
Yeah, those voices are really, really ugly and awful and so loud in your head. It's the first thing, right? Like I remember the first time that I went to church right after and they'd announced it to the whole church and I still walked back in with my kids and my husband had gone for counseling and so he wasn't present with us, but we were there. And I remember getting ready that morning and thinking, I really have to do my hair and I have to have a cute outfit on because everybody's going to look at me and think, oh, I wonder if I would have cheated on her just based on my looks. And I thought that because I've done that. And I would never have admitted that out loud until now I have this beautiful thing that the Lord did was cut my fear of man and teach me to be vulnerable. So these are the things that I've thought that about people like, oh, well, I don't know, as if that has anything to do with it. And looks doesn't have anything to do with it. It's yeah, I mean, it goes right back to your insecurities. Like, okay, I didn't lose all my baby weight, 4 times. So maybe that's it. Or, I used to be a lot funnier and maybe I talk about, cleaning the house too much or whatever the thing is 1,000,000% you so go back to that and like what's my part in this? Was I not pretty enough? Did we not have enough sex? Like what is the problem? Like what did I do that contributed to this? And the Lord was very quick to be like, stop. These are lies that culture has fed you, that you have entertained for years and not brought them out to the table, and you need to bring them out into the light. And again, those are your voice, my voice. I discovered that I'd lost my voice, that I'd given my voice away. And at first I was like, he took my voice away. And I had a very, very dear counselor. I had like 6 counselors and had a very dear counselor say, no one takes your voice.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Wow." But my husband did. He was like, no, no, no one took it. And so I had to find my voice. And then what I've found is that when you use your voice as a weapon against the enemy, nothing can stand. So when I confess those things, when I say those things out loud, like I'm not pretty enough. I maybe I overate last weekend when we went out, or as if that's the problem, or whatever it is. Like I'm not interesting enough. I don't have enough to say about the Bible. I say too much about the Bible. Like wherever it is that you feel like your personality flaw or your physical appearance is lacking, the Lord is so quick when you're brokenhearted. He says that I will be with the brokenhearted. And he is, he's like right there. And so as soon as I had those thoughts and I could voice them out and confess them out, it was so obvious what the lies are. When you're brokenhearted and the Lord is near and you lean into him instead of away from him, he's so quick to tell you, no, no, that's a lie. And I want to replace it with truth, that you are a delight to me, that I love you so much that I died for you and that I gave up my firstborn son, my only son, so that we could have this conversation and commune, and so you could understand that there's this very thin veil between us that can be breached and crossed, and that we can have relationship that is rich and fulfilling. And I will bring you strength, and I will bring you truth. And so it's a discipline. They still happen. Like it happens all the time. Like you can't live so long entertaining lies in your brain and then expect them just to disappear just because you're like, oh, now I know the truth.
Yeah.
I'm so pretty because God thinks I'm so pretty, right? So they still creep up, and every day you still have to say, no, I'm choosing truth. And the truth is that I'm on a journey walking towards Jesus. I want to be more like Jesus. And this is my process that I'm walking it. And the betrayal starts to get smaller, although it doesn't disappear because it's it's kind of what makes you you a little bit, because God weaves the hurt into the fabric of who you are in a way so that he can meet you on a personal level. When you've been wronged by the enemy, because at the end of the day, it's the enemy who's trying to kill all good things, right? Like he's trying to kill all these good things, but the Lord says, like, he's not omniscient. He can only do things that he observes. And he saw that our family was great, and he saw that my marriage was great. And so he wants to destroy that. But the
Mhm.
Lord can get into my heart and say, I see that you feel insufficient. And I want to weave that into so you understand that I am omniscient. I know the deepest parts of you, and I want to speak to those parts and heal that in you, not just your marriage. Yes, that's going to be a byproduct of what happens. I want to heal your marriage, and I want you to experience how I love the church through your marriage. That's always his goal for marriage. But his goal for my heart was that I would be healed from things that I've carried since childhood, believing about myself or knowing about myself or ignoring about myself. I always talk about there's a wall where nothing seemed to bother me ever. Nothing bothered me because I would just throw it over my wall and then I would just never address it again. And I would put it over the wall. And so if somebody said something offensive to me, it's totally fine. You have your whole thing. I have my whole thing. I put it over the wall. But it hurts. Sometimes hurt things, it's just hurtful. And then when you have a massive betrayal, you can't deny that you're hurt. There's no wall big enough to throw marital betrayal over. There just isn't. There's no wall big enough to throw my husband's choosing alcohol instead of me and my family. There's no wall big enough to throw that over. We can't even lift it to put it over. So when you get to the bottom of yourself and can be honest with those hurts that you've had for so long, and this is just the one you can't pick up. It's not different, it's just bigger and really, really painful. I think that was another thing that I didn't see coming is how painful betrayal is and how helpless you are to heal that hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that I mean, are there really enough I'm sorries? Are there enough I'm sorries when you've been betrayed? Probably not. And that's why I would think that if you don't have a relationship with God, how would you get through something so painful and so ugly and so just creates such a hemorrhage and a rupture in a marriage. Like I just couldn't even imagine getting through something like that without the power of the Lord in your corner. Can you speak into that for a minute? Like, do you think you would have been able to walk through this if you weren't a Christian?
So that's an interesting question. Nobody's asked me that. I mean, yes, is the answer. Of course I would. I'm strong. I can do whatever I want. I'm a woman, right? Like we do laundry, we go to work, we get dinner on the table, and we hire the handymen to do things, or we do it ourselves, right?
Right.
Like we get it done. And so, yeah, I could have gotten through it, but do I think that my heart would have been 100% healed? No. And that's something that I looked for. I talked to a lot of women who had gone through what I'd gone through and were walking on the other side, even 10 years down. And I talked to so many early on who they come out of the woodwork and they call you. And I'm telling you, if this happens to you and there's a woman who gives you their phone number and you don't know who they are and they say, call me, even if it's at 2 a.m., just call them. They'll
Just
pick
call
up.
it.
Just call them. I called people I did not know who were
Mhm.
like, use it. You're going to need it. And I was like, okay. And you need it. You need other people. But I looked in their eyes and they weren't 100% healed. And I just thought, this is it. The rest of my life, it's going to be something I walk with. This is what Paul's talking about. You're going to have a limp. You're going to have a thorn in your flesh and your side, and I'm going to have this forever. And that's going to just be my reality because I couldn't find in their eyes that they were 100% healed until one day. I had lunch, I had breakfast with one lady who confessed to me that she had been married twice and her husband was sitting next to her, her second marriage, and she was trying to honor him, but she intimated that in both of her marriages she'd been cheated on. And I looked at her in such bewilderment. And I just said to her, "But you're healed." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm looking into your eyes and you are healed." And she was like, "Of course I'm healed. I know Jesus. I've been healed by the blood of the Lamb." And I was like, "Okay, 1980s wonderful person. I want you to be my best friend. Like, how did you do that?" And she proceeded to just tell me how she pushed into the Lord. And I thought, okay, that's it. I'm going to keep walking towards Jesus until I'm healed too. And that's all he's asking me to do is put one foot in front of the other and get as close as I can to him. And that's all he's asking all of us to do. We're all broken in such horrible ways, but so many times we have a curtain in front of our brokenness. And so it feels like we're not broken. But when your curtain is ripped out and people blog about it and they are looking at your brokenness and making assumptions and judgments without asking you questions or knowing, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you can still just walk towards Jesus and towards healing. And his promises to us is that he's never going to leave us or forsake us, and that he has healing in mind for us because he calls us by name. And then he gives us his name. And he does that so he can heal our hearts 100%. And so I would say, yes, I could have walked through it, but I would have had roots of bitterness that would have destroyed other things in my life that I'm not willing to compromise on. And I'm so thankful that I can have a way through to be healed. And also, I don't have to keep those roots of bitterness that will tear up other things in my life in ways that I don't want.
Hi, my eternal friends. I pray you are enjoying this video. Hey, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and maybe even subscribe. Subscribing is free. Can you say free? Free. Free. It is free. And guys, California Healing is rocking the world, okay? We are having the best time. I want you to join the holy party. Please, please, please go to the link that is pinned in my top comments and come check it out. I want to give you a complimentary drop-in to California Healing because that's how we roll. And I love you guys so much. Back to the video. Peace of Christ.
I've heard it said that it takes two people to create an infidelity. Some women might be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But or men. But I mean, do you feel like there was a part of you that had to take responsibility at all for what happened, or did you feel like this was fully 100% on your husband and that he needed to just repent and heal?
I think that there's a lot of different ways that people have affairs. And the way that my husband had an affair is 100% on him and had nothing to do with me. But when you have someone commit that kind of betrayal to you, he has to own that 100%. I did not do that to him. He made every choice to do that, and he owns it 100%. I don't know what the percentage is on men who are really truly repentant and really want to restore and walk through that, but I am 9 zillion% thankful that my husband's in that category, that as soon as he was confronted with truth by people who loved him and wanted to walk him through his pain, because that's what happened. He got into a place of pain that he didn't know how to walk out of, and he didn't turn to the Lord for it. And so he has to own all of that. And sure, there's things that I could have done or whatever, but I am not guilty of those things. He is guilty of what he did, but he is no longer. Like that's another thing that he is guilty of it, but he is free from the shame of that. And that's something that I've had to really grapple with too and figure out what is that piece of forgiveness, I had to really say, okay, Lord, how do you look at forgiveness? Because it seems like you died on the cross for our sins, past, present, and future. And when we repent and accept your forgiveness, it seems like then the sanctification covers us again. And he's like, yes, it does. And so having to accept that that's how he forgives me, and that's how I want him to forgive me, because I don't want anybody to judge me by my worst day or my worst season of days. And so I can't do that to someone else. And I have to be able to let them walk in freedom, let my husband walk in freedom, the same freedom that's been granted to me that I don't want taken away from me. And I've found that freedom is a discipline, right? Like freedom isn't, I have no rules. Freedom is, I know what the rules are and I can follow them through the Lord's strength, and I can figure out and I can actively do the things that I know how to do on a daily basis to keep my feet on solid ground. And that's where what my husband wasn't doing for a very short season of our lives. And that's something that he has to own. So are there things? Sure.
I think that, some Christians who are in this situation of betrayal, there's only a couple of things in the Bible that God gives permission to walk. And, and sexual infidelity is one of them.
Yeah.
So did you ever have a moment where you thought, well, now I'm like Charlie in the chocolate factory. I've got the golden ticket. I'm out of here. Like, was there ever that moment for you?
No, not really. Chai, I'm the girl that like goes to her neighbor's family reunion so she won't be alone. And if she doesn't like to go there, like I am just by nature. I realized in my 20s that faith is a gift, and the Lord has given me the gift of faith. And to really just and I've seen it now when I've seen other people, I'm like, why are you struggling with that? Because faith has not been something that I've struggled with. I've walked through seasons of doubt for sure. But at the end of the day, always knowing that God's ways are the best ways, even if I don't understand them.
So beautiful. And for those of you who don't know, this is Joanne's first time ever talking about this on a public platform. And what a beautiful, eloquent job you did. It was so succinct and clear and so hopeful, really like a living hope. It's not just hopeful, it was like living hope. And you're a perfect example of my favorite quote, which is that even a wildflower can bloom in the desert. And I just see you blooming, and it's so beautiful. And you're such an inspiration, honestly. Joe, thank you so much for doing this with us. And thank you for, I know you've spoken to so many ladies' hearts that are watching this tonight, and you've spoken to mine as well.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate another place where I can put things out into the light, and so that they don't have any power over me, and just even a platform to give some hope, and to maybe just to somebody who is struggling with this kind of pain or any other kind of pain, that Jesus sees you and you're not going to be alone in that. And his covenant to you is real, and he'll walk through you through whatever that looks like. Lean into that.
Amazing. I wish you had a book that I could promote right now. I wish I could hold up your book and be like, and
And I'm writing a poetry book, and it's almost done. So you can promote that. It's almost finished. So I wrote poetry through my year of healing. And so it's all very raw things that I learned about the Lord, or things that I just was really upset about.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be so amazing. And as soon as it comes out, I'll be promoting it.
Oh, you're so kind.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. And listen, if you liked it, maybe just give it a thumbs up or share it with a friend. And if you subscribe, it's absolutely zero cost to you. Some people think that subscribing costs money, but subscribing is free. So please feel free to subscribe. I really pray that you enjoyed watching this video. And thank you again, Joanna, for being here with us tonight. God bless you. Peace of Christ.